This meeting is being recorded. So I just want to welcome everybody out there in Free to Heal. Thanks for joining us. Today, I am super, can I say super again? Blessed to have the Wallace family to join us. This is a family where incarceration affected them. I'm going to allow each of them to introduce themselves individually. And when you introduce yourselves, I think I'm going to start with Lavelle Senior, because whatever you want to say is whatever you want to say about your story, your circumstance, and each of you, as you introduce yourselves, and also I'd like to know what caused you to agree to do the interview, because it's very, the subject can be hypersensitive for people. Some people don't want, I've met people who don't want to talk anything about the circumstance or anything, but in light of respect for order, divine order, I need to start with the man of the head man of the family, and that would be Lavelle Senior. And you can go ahead and introduce yourself and whatever you want to say about your story and how you wound up here.
Well, it's kind of tough to say how I wound up here because it's just so many factors. But let's just say this: I am blessed and highly favored. And every morning that the Lord breathed air into these lungs right here, yes, I'm grateful.
Yes.
Life hasn't been easy since coming home. March the 17th will make 14 years. There are people in our lives that still don't even know, the trials that we've been through. And I would say our granddaughters, for one, they don't know, they don't have a clue.
Right, because they were born since you've been home, huh? Both of them, huh? Because the oldest is...
She'll be 14 in the end of February this month.
Yeah.
So I can just a couple of weeks.
Yeah, so you have always been there in their, in their memory, which is awesome. That is right. Awesome. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so we just had a little short debate about, should we even tell them? Right now I'm not ashamed of what I've done, where I've been, because my life story, or just the things that I've been through, they made me to be the individual that I am today. So I'm proud of who I have become.
Yeah, me too. Me too, Senior. Just so you know, me too. Because I understand, in working with the population so much and actually teaching inside the institutions and all that kind of stuff, there are so many challenges that you face that even your wife and your son don't know. Because a lot of that, you don't bring all the details of all of that stuff with you. You hold on to it, you don't share it, you just move on and try to get life moving and try to meet the demands of the day. But in reality, there's a lot that you go through. I'm gonna give you one thing that's gonna make you laugh. When did you, I'm gonna ask a question that's gonna make you laugh. When did you stop wearing shower shoes?
I didn't wear shower shoes when I came home. So the day that I came home, I stopped wearing shower shoes.
But Val, I'm gonna tell you this. I know so many people that is still a thing for them. And it takes them years to get beyond it. It's things like that, like sleeping in a room that's too hot because it's always cold, inside, and then coming out, and just the simple thing of sleeping in a room that's so there's just a lot of things, being told when you can and can't do things that take adjustment. And then also being gone any length of time, there's also the technology things going real fast and everything's moving so fast and trying to keep up with all of that, so that's interesting. But so let me ask you this: when you say, it raised another question, when you were debating about whether or not to tell the girls, what did you guys decide?
We still have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
discussion just came up this week.
Right.
Because, you know, in preparation for this this happening. And we were wondering, like, you know, we haven't had that conversation with the girls yet. I know it's not going to change their perception or their viewpoint or how they view any of us in this situation. If anything, it'll make them see like, wow, they went through this and you can't even tell.
And I'm gonna say this, y'all not gonna have me on tissues and stuff. I'm just tell y'all right now, I'm not playing with y'all. Y'all understand me? Okay, because I'm tougher than that.
We're gonna try our best.
So, okay, but and see, this is why I was saying before we started recording how grateful and honored I am that you guys even agreed to do this, because this is something else. And it does raise things. So 14 years, you know, it feels like just the other day to me, Vel. Like, I know, but that's crazy that it, you know, it's been 14 years since you came home. That is an amazing thing to me. And so that's awesome. I would like to go to Mother now, if you would introduce yourself.
Juju Wallace. I think what prompted me, I have been watching your podcast. Of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
YouTube channel. There you go.
You're my sister. I'm gonna make sure that I support you in all you do. So, and I was doing it while I was working out. So first thing in the morning, you know, after praying, I turn on, so it'll help me with my workout if I'm doing the bicycle. So just viewing the different families, the individuals, the men, and Lavelle Jr.'s godmother, which is our other sister, she, Kim, she has always.
Can you say her name and give the name of her book, please? Okay.
Kimberly West Williams. Hold your she was right behind you. Hold your godmother's book up. She is the author and teacher of the Matriarch Society. She has 2 books under her belt. And she has always said that our story, we have a story to tell. She has always said that. She was with me, actually made me go out when I met Lavelle Sr. when we were 19. So she has always been vested in our relationship and our family. She's our family member. So, and just the things that she said, and then watching, you know, your show and the things that the individuals were sharing and the men, I just felt as though somewhere in there, I saw one of the moms, you know, and then her husband went in, her son, and yes. I was like, somebody has to hear that it doesn't necessarily have to be that way.
Thank you. Indeed, because that's what I say, you guys are a huge success story, honestly. Junior. Okay, full disclosure. Junior played football for me when he started when he was 8 years old. He has been the most phenomenal person since he was a little bitty boy. And I attribute that to the DNA from both of his parents, along with the fact that he brought with him some really excellent qualities. Now, again, more full disclosure, I was really trying to wait until he got older that maybe I could marry him. But then this other little gal came along and married him. And I've learned, despite my better instincts, I've learned to love, adore, and cherish her as well. But I would like for Junior to introduce himself and why he agreed to participate.
Right, Lavelle Jr. And I actually agreed to do this just because it's something that I've never really talked about with anybody. I kind of just hold things in and just, you know, handle it within myself and then just move on. And I figure this is a good way for me to actually talk about it. And I know I'm on this earth to help people. So any way that I can, I'm gonna step into that and do it. And this is a great way for me to help somebody that may be going through something and not feel that they have an outlet or feel that they're alone or not know where to go from the situation. And hopefully that I'm gonna be able to shed some light on that and help them be successful.
And as you guys can see, yes, that is the human that I'm talking about. That has always been there. I'm talking about from a little bitty boy, highly intelligent, always getting A's in school, just the best. And so when your answer, Junior, gave me, and I'm gonna have to call you Junior and Vel. That way y'all know which one of y'all I'm talking to at the time. But it prompts me to ask you, one of the questions that I wanted to ask was, how did it affect you? What were those things that you felt you never really talked about or whatever, or what were those things, Junior? Kinds of things. Can you think of just an example of something that nobody really even knew you experienced?
And this is a tough one. I was like, talking with my wife about it, trying to, gather my thoughts around, just the podcast and the YouTube in general, like us approaching this. I'm like, I never really sat and thought about those things. I never, delved, like, I'm okay with being vulnerable and, being transparent, but I never put myself in the situation to do that with this situation, with my father being incarcerated.
Sure.
But something that, like, I went over this question. I changed my answer like 5 different times, but it was really hard to come down to something. But the thing that I experienced most, I think, is having to mature quicker. And I figured, like, most kids, everybody matures at different ages. Everybody, so I didn't think that was a big deal. But just learning how to not only adjust, but to adapt quickly to situations, and kind of putting my my feelings in the back, just because I saw, like, the role model that I had, was my dad, and then it had to shift right away, right. From like pretty much overnight.
Because how old were you when he went away?
I believe I was 6 or 7. I was 7.
Okay.
I was 7.
And that does matter, because you had good memory, like you say. In other words, your relationship and your bond was strong already.
Yeah.
And so, like, where really younger kids may not feel the separation or the change, you were old enough to process that.
Exactly. My dad's my hero. He picked me up from school, dropped me off, like everything, played after school with the kids, like all of that. So, and as soon as it happened, everything changed. Yeah. I didn't even have time to be confused about what was going on, because it was just like, boom, you're in a new situation, new living situation, new school, new friends, like new everything. We weren't even in our current state when it happened. So it was just so much going on. I didn't even have time to process it. And I feel like I just had to adjust and adapt right away. Wow. And I'll say that kind of helped me become who I am, because now when I'm faced with adversity, I'm able to just, take it in and right away see what it is, adjust and adapt, and then come out on top.
And that's similar to what Vel said, because it made you, it helped to shape who you are. Absolutely. Which is really awesome, because even though we may not think, oh, it's the perfect way to have this happen, or to have you become flexible. You're not stiff and rigid, and you know where to go within yourself to find that shift without falling apart. Like, know how to tap into that. You started that at 7 years old. Exactly. And most people, some people never get that, Junior. Yeah. Some people never learn how to shift. And this is why they crack and break mentally and all of those things, because they don't have the understanding of, where do I go? And I'll use it this way. I never had to do this with you on the team, but I'm going to go back to when we were in Vegas, championship dogfight, right? Yeah. And Mario Calix, you know how little he was, and they had slung him, and he wound up off the field onto the track. Remember, his arm was all scratched up, and here go Miss Noreen. Look, okay, now Mario, I'm steadily trying to deal with the arm and get him not to look at it. Look, okay, but listen, this is it. Okay, and then Kyle Gibson. Kyle was backing up on defense, Vel, and I was like, that man keep pushing him back. So I said, Kyle, now I done seen you do this before. I need you going forward, okay? On the next defensive series, I need you moving forward because you can do this. Vel, why they had to take the little boy out the next thing that went out there and laid the little boy out there, carried the little boy off the thing, and I'm going, I don't think I meant this like that. And he comes flailing on, Miss Noreen, did you see me? And I was like, yes, and I couldn't discourage it because I just encouraged it. But it was like, the one thing I felt good, I always felt like that team, my approach to it was, this is to teach life lessons. And literally, Kyle Gibson will always know where to go when he feels afraid, when he feels scared, when he feels unsure of himself, because that was built into him at that time. And with you, I never had to. See, now I know where it came from. You already had it. You had learned how to do those things on your own, which again, yeah, broken record, but again, incredible human being that you brought with you. That is who you brought with you. And so I'm really, really, really grateful that you guys had it. So let me ask you, Vel, what was the biggest challenge that you faced being incarcerated and being away from your family like that? What was the biggest challenge you think you faced?
Time. I had so much of it, in front of me. Like right now, we're all out here and we don't think of time in the same way. I had to think of it as like, wow, am I going to make it to the end of this? Because 17 and a half years is a long time. So that was one of the biggest challenges, not to mention that, every day was the same, but it was still something different. Yeah. You had, people, you had to really adjust to the mentality. I mean, some people just had some real ignorant ways, and there's just no way to escape it. So you had to adjust, or either you fall in line and, I tell you, falling in, excuse me, falling in line could be, detrimental to
as well
yourself and to others.
And let me ask a quick question: did you do federal time or state time?
Federal time.
Okay, because as I've learned through doing the interviews that there is a difference in the time and in how the facilities operate. So I just wanted for my audience who we have made that distinction before, I just wanted them to know which one you had done. So it was Fed time. Okay. And now do they give you, they don't do good time. You had to do the whole 17 and a half?
With federal, you have to do 85%.
Okay. Okay.
So for 17 and a half, you actually have to do 15 years and some change.
Okay. Okay.
So like 15 years, 3 months, something like that.
Okay. And
I was blessed toward the end.
Say that again.
Because I was blessed because I ended up doing a little bit over 13 years because they had changed laws. Mm-hmm. And I was one of the first people to walk out of the institution that I was at, which was Terminal Island, due to the law change. In fact, I was the first person due to that law change that walked out of there.
Good. Let me ask, it just raised another question. In that time, thinking about you having to do all of that time and being able to get out early, what was you guys' response? Like, what was the thought? Like, oh my God, he's coming. Like you're anticipating 17 and now it's a little over 13. I'll let you go first, Socorro.
They'll Jr. didn't know. So it was just Lavelle Sr. and I were talking, and when he told me, I jumped on everything that he wanted me to do that needed to happen in order for him to be able to walk out of there. So I had to find our old attorney who had left that practice, moved out of state, like it was some homework. And I was there, and at that time, we were friends. We were really good friends. And Lavelle Sr. and I were very good friends. So there was no way anyone else was gonna be there to pick him up other than me.
I know that's right.
This is my partner that has been a part of my life, my whole adult life.
Yeah.
And so I was, any other word I can think of, elated.
Yeah.
Not for me. Not for me at all. For him.
Yeah.
I was just elated. I felt it in my soul. Like I just was so happy for him.
Yeah.
I was excited for him, for the fact that he got to be home.
Yeah.
Wherever home was gonna be, he was out.
He wasn't behind them walls. And
behind the walls.
Which makes me ask another question. Did you take little Junior to visit and stuff like that? Did you guys do those visits during the time?
And we did those visits. We went
came from California to Nebraska to Oklahoma to let me tell you, federal and state is something totally different. Yeah. Federal can put you anywhere from California to Maine.
Yeah.
Florida. It doesn't matter. They got institutions all over this country, and they could put you in any one of those as long as they are federal institutions, but they also have these privately owned industries. Right. Everybody getting in on the business now. You know, they making money off of our sweat and tears.
Absolutely. And
different.
And did they send you, did you have the unfortunate thing to serve in any of those privately owned prisons?
I didn't serve any time, but you know, I was placed on hold in different locations.
Got you.
So just going through the process, you know, you've been processed to, you know, just say for instance, like my case was out of Omaha, Nebraska. Mm-hmm. So they had holding facilities for federal inmates, you know, throughout this process, you know, going through the court process, mm-hmm. where they would send us down to Leavenworth, Kansas. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or, you know, they had them in different places, but Leavenworth was one of the closest places. And that's where they will hold us up. Oh, my goodness. You know, but, you know, Leavenworth is a penitentiary, a federal penitentiary.
Sure.
So it's a location where they keep the murderers and mm-hmm. The people that are doing life sentences, double life, triple life, mm-hmm. you know, people that will never see the streets again. But yeah, it's a process. So even just to get to where I was, which they sent me to Terminal Island, which is right here in San Pedro, Long Beach, San Pedro is right in between.
That was a blessing. That was a major blessing in terms of people being able to visit.
It really was, because it made it so much easier on family and friends. And, you know, that plays a lot on your mental state when you're incarcerated also, you know, to be able to have the support. Because if that support is not showing, it just puts you in a really dark space.
Well, they've actually done, I'm sorry to cut you off. They've actually done studies, and they know for a fact that lack of connection with family and friends will cause recidivism. It'll cause people to go back to prison if they ever get out. They know that it does damage, and it leads me to believe that because you have some of that extraordinary stuff that you gave to Junior is why they transferred you close to home. And I mean that seriously, because there had to be something about you, because they know where you live. They know where you were born. They knew everything about you. And for them to transfer you says you had to be a pretty decent inmate person, which again, because you gave it to Junior, I have to believe that they saw that and moved you, because how many years did you do over at Terminal Island?
Well, that's another story. You know, Terminal Island was where I actually started. Mm-hmm. You know, after being sentenced and they finally sent me there, I did the first 6 years of my sentence at Terminal Island. Mm-hmm. Then, you know, let me just say this. They use these as tools to try to keep people in line as well, because they always hold it over your head. Like, if you mess up, if you do anything wrong, we're going to send you across the country. And they do. So they use those as tools to break up families or to keep people, you know, in step. But I did Terminal Island. Then from Terminal Island, my points, they dropped. Well, they have levels. Terminal Island was a medium high, meaning that I had enough time, and you know, they use criminal history. They use the amount of time. They use so many different factors to determine on where they're going to keep you at, the type of crimes that people commit, you know, and they will add points or take away points, things like that. So it's a point system. And my points were high enough to be at a medium high. But after serving, you know, those first 6 years there, without any trouble, my points started to decrease. So my points actually dropped low enough to where I can go to a camp, but they would never send you from a medium high, well, not Black folks anyway, people of color, straight to a camp.
Okay.
So I had to go to a low and then to a camp.
Okay.
So it's a process, but all of, you know, this is just their way of, you know, saying, okay, well, you do right. It is. It really is.
Yeah, and it's just,
you know, but I want to do right because I want to get home to my family.
Right. Yeah. And again, you know, this is what I'm saying. I know that somehow you had to be doing really well, you know, be extraordinary for them to do those things. And so that matters. And so let me ask you, Junior, what do you remember about the visiting process? Like, what was that like as the kid? Because see, I know what it's like as a woman going to go visit a man, right? My boo. But that's totally a different animal than being a child.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember back, like, you know, what I was feeling at the moments, but I think every time I went to visit, I was just really excited and anxious. Because, you know, I was getting to see, you know, my favorite person in the world.
Yeah.
It was always, you know, even when we when it first happened. Even when it had first happened.
Wait, let me pause right there. Vel, you may not know this, but you know, nobody can really okay. With Junior, okay. I'm sorry, Junior, you were interrupted. We forgive him, Junior.
No, but I just remember, you know, there was always, I didn't get to see him or talk to him, you know, as much as I wanted to during the weeks or however long it was in between visits. So when I did get to go visit, I was never really nervous or scared or, you know, overwhelmed by the facilities. I was just more focused on the time that we were getting to spend together.
Right.
And I think that was always my main focus. I can even like going back to like I'm trying to think back to like one of our first few visits. It was, I think my mom did a great job of keeping my mind focused on the positives. Even, you know, going through everything, you know, it was always you know, it'll be okay. Don't worry about that. Like, oh, you can't wear shorts to go visit. We'll just go get some pants and go, you know, it was never like a moment of, oh, we got to go do this now. We got to do this. Like, it was always a positive event. Yeah. And I think that played a big role in it.
I'm sure that you're right, because children take their cues, particularly emotional cues, from the adults in the room. Absolutely. And it's one of the reasons, for example, I do a group on Tuesday nights with men who are formerly serving life sentences on relationships related to my book, Hurt People Highway. Hey. I do that, and one of the things, you know, I'm constantly trying to share with them is how everything affects everybody totally different, right? Definitely. When you're the person who's incarcerated, you don't know what comes with the people on the other side trying to get in to visit. You don't know what exactly, unless they share it, which I know from my experience, once you get in there, the last thing you want to talk about is what it took to get in there, right? But when it comes to parents bringing their children, which I think is really important for parents to be able to maintain that relationship, with 100%. Your mom keeping it as positive and focusing on the positive, really, I'm sure it was helpful. And that to me is valuable information for people out there listening to understand. When things change or whatever, again, back to your learning how to pivot and adjust, right? That is important through the process. Now, clearly we're focusing on Freed to Heal, focusing on how do you get past all of the scars that come with it, because there are scars that everybody carries. But as you both, Vel and Senior, have mentioned today, those things have helped to shape who you are, and they've made you incredible human beings. So, I mean, not that you weren't already, right? But it really just enhanced and gave you, I'm sure, an empathy. And when I look at your birthday video that we all got to participate in, and everybody was like, so, oh, Mr. Wallace. Now, you know, it was real deep for me. We had this before we started record. Ooh, talk about Mr. Wallace.
Right.
Oh, wait. He Mr. Wallace is somebody? Like, whoa, slow down, everybody, right? But they were all so excited, you know, to wish you well and all of those things. They are beneficiaries. It makes you, I'm sure, a better teacher. It makes you more empathetic. You know, just so many things that it does, that it brings. There's a part of you that is empathetic, I'm sure, in a way that most kids don't get, and particularly at such a young age, because like it or not, in my eyes, you still kind of on the young side. And I know it may not, you know what I mean? We had that conversation. But Socorro, for you, the visiting process, like, because see, this is what I know. You had a lift that was big. It was huge. It was huge. And I've said this before, you have done what you needed to do in an exemplary fashion, And I just want everybody to know, and of course, somebody has the nerve to come to my door right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause recording and we're going to come back to it. So hold that answer, okay?
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, so for you, like I say, the visiting process, you know, I get tired just thinking when I hear about having to go out of state to visit. Oh my gosh, I thought that drive up the coast for 6 hours was something, but to go out of state and with a child. Oh my gosh. So please do tell.
When Caesar was out of state, and as he shared, he was in several states. What I looked for when I knew we were going to visit, I looked for, because of course you had to have a hotel. So I looked for places that were centralized and easy transportation, somewhere where Lavelle Jr. would not be bored. When we had to go to Nebraska, we stayed at a hotel that had great transportation. I took them to the Shriners Circus. I took them to the zoo. Omaha had one of the largest zoos out there. So there were things that I did that while we weren't visiting, I didn't want him to just sit in the hotel room. Right. I didn't want him to think about the fact that we had to leave his dad behind. And him dwelling on being sad because his dad wasn't leaving when we left. So even when we went to Kansas, we went to the movies. I mean, I always found something. There was always a part of the visit that when we have to go through, of course, you know, you have to have your dress below your knees. You have to have, you can't wear anything too revealing. You can't, like, there was always something where I just started having stuff in the car.
Yeah.
But I mean, difficult when you're visiting out of state.
Right.
There were times I had to pack for the snow. It was time, you know, so there were things that people may not, from another state, may not think of, but it's a major preparation. It's not something you could just do overnight. Oh, let me book the tickets and we'll go. It is a preparation. Mm-hmm. So then, you know, it depending upon how the guards felt, they may mess with you. They may tell you that color is too close to your skin tone in your pants, or you know, you like with Lavelle Jr. He's a kid. They didn't want him to wear shorts.
Right.
Like it after a certain age, they can't wear shorts. They can't, but they don't give you a list of what you can and can't do prior to your visit.
Right. And then also what they do is, it depends on who you are at the time and how this particular person is feeling. I have been teaching in the state prison, wear the same outfit in there week in and week out, get a new CO at the desk, and oh no, that color is too close to this. And I had to go to Target and buy another dress, all these kinds of things that you have no control over, that really, and then of course, like I said earlier, once you get in, you're certainly not going to want to start talking to Big Vel about all that, because you don't know when your visit could be cut short. You only had, like, you trying to get in as much, you know, family time, love, catching up, and all of that as you can. Now, let me, and so all of those things, let me ask this too, in the federal visiting, is it like state where you can only touch, like you get a hug when you come in and only a hug when you go out, like you can't? Yeah, because that's also deep. And how do they handle the children aspect of that? In other words, was Junior not supposed to touch his dad after the first hug? No.
Pretty much, but they were a little bit more lenient toward that, but kids could not sit on their parents' lap.
Yeah.
You know, they don't want us holding the kids. With our hands have to be visible at all times. So they wanted them on top of the tables.
Yeah. Which is such an unnatural thing. If you think about that, right? If, you know, being loving people, and all of you, in my experience, are loving people. I'm just talking about your nature, right? So just like the notion, and y'all know I'm a hugger, right? So it's very difficult, like, to even think, oh, you can't hug. Wait a minute. You know, so, and then to think, to be a kid, and like you say, Junior, that's my hero. I haven't seen him. Of course, you want to, you know, be there and all those things. And these are the things that they do that is psychological warfare, as far as I'm concerned. It's unnecessary psychological warfare. I do not believe, and, you know, being in the prisons, that there's the need. People are serving enough punishment simply by being removed from their families. They don't need the psychological warfare to make it worse, to punish an inmate for a crime. It's just not necessary, but it's very destructive. And then they want to do the damage that they do and then send people out in the street as if everything is okay, and it's not necessarily. And so that leads me to ask you this question, Vel. Are there any things that you think lingered, are there things that, you know, the challenges, things that you have to talk yourself through? I'll put it that way. Like, okay, when this comes up, okay, remember, and kind of talk yourself through it, not to respond in ways that you would have, or those kinds of things. Because I find a lot of people I talk to, there's still things. I'll give you an example. The other night, I was interviewing a guy. Now, his dad did like lots and lots and lots and lots more time even than you did. And his father, he said, literally has to slam his bedroom door closed to hear that loud sound, because psychologically it tells him it's okay to go to sleep. So that's a wide range of things, but is there anything that you find, Vel, that kind of lingers with you from that time?
Honestly, I can't think of anything that affected me in that way. You know, I think I've always pretty much just had a level head, and I was always able to see a bigger picture even beyond, you know, my own emotional state. And so I don't think I've really brought anything with me like that. But I do have a childhood friend that had also gone through incarceration. And I remember one time we were all out at a restaurant. I mean, it was a group of us, and he was there also. And somebody had reached across his plate. You know, that's a no-no in prison. You don't reach across somebody's plate. And he really got an attitude. I had to talk him down because he was so mad.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've seen certain things with people, but no, I try to leave all that stuff behind.
That's a blessing. And again, I want to say it makes you guys so extraordinary. It literally makes you guys so extraordinary, because there are so many people who cannot do what you did. They can't let it go. There are things that they just can't get past, and things that still affect them, that affect their whole entire lives, and things that trigger things. So it's just really a blessing. And now I want to move forward, fast forward, because Mom, what you said was, you know, when Vel came home, you guys were just friends. And so I want to fast forward to now, y'all back together.
We were never not together.
Okay. Well, wait.
She was putting down ultimatums and everything as a friend.
She was doing what, honey?
She was putting down ultimatums and all kinds of stuff.
And your best, and if you don't, and now, and how about that? She had all kind of instructions, huh, Vel, while she playing, huh?
Lord.
Okay, look. Hey, Jew, you know
right
I know.
Now, when I open up stuff, I can read the directions or instructions because of her.
And look,
you
got to keep the list. You got to have the list so you know what the list was, Vel. That's awesome. That's awesome, because listen, this is the thing. There's some level. See, that meant that you guys had a good. I'm just telling you, you had a good, strong relationship from the beginning, literally, because there's a level of friendship, humanity, or whatever, companionship that wasn't destroyed. And I have to give both of you guys credit for that, because that's not easy to do. Just the circumstance alone. I will say this. I know that there's nobody that I've ever met who woke up in the morning and said, I'm going to go commit a crime today so I can ruin my family's life. Nobody. Right? So no matter what you did, Vel, the reality is that wasn't, when you woke up that morning, that wasn't your intention. Right? So, but it doesn't matter, because a lot of people can't forgive and move beyond the fact that you're gone. And so like I said, I want to move to the fact that you guys did some things right. Something happened. And I'm going to leave you guys to explain what that was. So he said y'all never was apart. You whatever, however that go. Y'all tell that story. That ain't my story or Junior's story to tell. So I'm going to let the grown-ups in the room. We just going to shut up and leave it to the grown-ups. Because it's phenomenal, however it happened.
I'm going to let her tell it.
You're such a smart man, Vel. Oh my God, you're so smart. You're such a smart man. But go ahead.
My screen freezing up.
Go ahead, Jude.
You know, as time had progressed, you know, I don't believe our connection ever failed. It was very important to me that Lavelle Jr. got to see his dad. My family from back east had offered us to move back home to make it easier on me financially. My mom, you know, and my stepdad had offered us to move back with them in the Inland Empire. And I just knew that that would all be well and good and it would be easier. And Lavelle Jr. would be surrounded by love regardless, but that it would make it that much more difficult for him to see his dad. It would make it that much more difficult for me to get to him if I needed to get to him when he was at Terminal Island. So that was my deciding factor on no, I'm staying, you know, where I'm at. Things got difficult because when this occurred, Lavelle Sr., he did everything. He did everything. Lavelle Jr. was in private school. I was going to school and working, but I only had to work part-time. And he was the head of the household. He took care of everything. I had to become responsible and independent all at one time. Yeah, and then still be strong and not break down and let my son know, no, this is gonna be okay. We are gonna come through this. So in doing that, I made certain decisions that were detrimental to Lavelle Sr. and my relationship. What the decisions in my mind that I thought I had to have my son see someone get up, go to work, give back to the community, you know, still have time and be there, where it took Lavelle Sr. and I, once I was honest with him and told him everything that was, you know, I answered questions that were extremely uncomfortable that he had for me, but it was also like a weight lifted off of my shoulders. I didn't have to lie. Yeah. I didn't have to lie. And it did enhance, after we dealt with it all, it enhanced our friendship. Because when we met at 19, it was a lust thing. It wasn't where I see this man, I know I'm gonna have a kid with him, we're gonna be married. Nah, that was not.
No, he was just kind of cute with the jerry curl and the jewelry and all that. He was just kind of on the cute side. I'm just saying.
And he had pretty big teeth, and I like.
Okay,
it.
Yeah,
so,
yes, honey.
So I think that there was a conversation we had, and he knows what I'm going to say. There was a conversation that he had. He knows that I wasn't comfortable in doing what I was doing in the situation that I had placed our son and myself in. He knew that I didn't really want to be in that situation. And he looked at me and he told me, and this has stuck with me for this long. He said, you didn't need a man to raise our son, to show him how to be a man. You showed me how to be a man. And it was like Rhema. Like when he said that, it was like, damn, I get it. And it allowed me to release myself and be okay to release myself from a situation I didn't want to be in and I shouldn't have been in the first place. And it didn't take anything away from our son.
Right.
I think what it did, and I had to ask our son, because, you know, kids take things, and like you said, you know, as resilient as they may be, they still will be that sponge and pay attention. How could I expect my son not to lie to me, but I'm lying?
Yeah.
He sees me telling lies.
Yeah.
And me trying to rationalize, I just don't want your dad to be, I don't want his time to be hard. I don't want him to be angry. So this is why, or not even saying it, just my actions and my movement are showing him that, you know, she's lying to my dad. Yeah, she don't want him to be mad. Yeah, it'll make his time hard, but my mom is still lying and she expects me to be honest. Right. So I had to ask our son, you know, to forgive me for putting him in a situation that was uncomfortable, for lying to his father and causing him to feel like he wasn't being honest because he wasn't going to tell his dad because he didn't want his dad to be upset on him.
Right.
So in doing that, it just changed me.
Mm-hmm.
From the words Lavelle Sr. said to me being able to release, it changed me. Our relationship, our visits became so much better. The conversations, because we always can go into deep conversations. We talk about politics, we talk about, worldviews. So we've always been able to have those types of conversations. Lavelle Sr. is an extremely intelligent man. One of the things that kept my interest in him over the years. So it just opened up a door for us to, in our relationship, really be good friends. Like I could talk to him about things that I never thought I could, and vice versa. And so when I was that one chosen, I knew wasn't no other heifer gonna be there but me to pick him up. That's my dude,
right.
my guy.
Yes.
But I also knew that 13 and a half years, there were certain things, I'm trying to be a wisecrack, but it's really true. There were certain technologies he didn't know about. Like we had got rid of the laser disc and now they had CDs. You know what I'm saying? He missed that, laptops, not just a regular box computer, because he had a computer. So, but now laptops and things, there were certain things that we had, those big phones, right?
Yes.
They went to the little
iPods.
Yeah, all kind of things. And so the conversation was, I know you can't do us because you first really got to do you. I understood that. When I picked him up, we stayed up all night just talking.
And let me just, please don't lose your train of thought, but that is one of the things that's very important for people out there to understand, particularly women. A lot of times the relationships, when they're in a relationship with a man who's incarcerated, it fails when he comes home. And a lot of people think that it's because, he was just using her to get through the thing. No, what happens is he needs to get his bearings. He needs to catch up to all of the things that were going on. If he has a plan, which hopefully anybody that may hear this that's incarcerated, please create a plan for what you're going to do. But that's really important. But if he has a plan, before he can even really focus on the woman that he's with or wants to be with, he's got to focus on his plan. And like you say, all those things, catch up to things so that he can feel whole in himself before he can ever actually be in a relationship with a woman. And doing this group with men who were formerly serving life sentences, it's even more important for them that they start to get their lives on track. They need to find out who they are outside of incarceration, because one thing you will always hear me say, the person that went into incarceration is never the person that comes out. That even if the core individual, there are things about that person that will never be the same. The person who was in prison cannot exist, because prison is a universe all of its own. Is similar to the military. They have their own hierarchy, their own language, their own politics, all of those things. Those things exist, but they only matter in jail, in prison. And so when a man or woman comes home, it's a different person, but yet the same person. So it's very important for people to remember that a person coming home from incarceration needs some time to get their bearings, like you said, it was very insightful for you. But again, I'm sure part of it was you viewing him as a whole human and not just reducing him to my husband, my man is coming home and I want to, all of that. So you had a broader version of who he was and were able to see his needs, which is really important. And it was a blessing for Vel, because you didn't have the other experience where people don't understand and they want you to be either exactly who went in or nothing like that person, which neither one is ever going to be the case. So that was a good thing, but I hated to interrupt.
We attempted, when we first came home, we attempted to be together, but the more we were, I realized this guy can't fully give me all of himself, because not only does he have to catch up, he has to get his footing. He has to realize and figure out, really, even if this is what he wants, are we going to continue to just be friends? I mean, all of our, because we've been in one another's lives forever, all of our families, everybody just assumed it. Everybody just anticipated it. When he first came home, you know, the first thing we did was I took him to his favorite place to eat. It was IHOP. He loved pancakes. So we went to IHOP. Then we went to go see our granddaughter. Mm-hmm. And we spent time with our granddaughter. And then we drove all the way out to UC Riverside. I was like, we're not even gonna tell Vel, because Vel had no idea. So we just drove out there and saw Veli walk in with his roommate and some friends, and we just rolled up on him. His dad.
Yeah.
It was such an awesome feeling for me, you know, because I knew this was his hero. I knew that the foundation that we had established before Lavelle was gone it was all about his dad. Mm-hmm. I was a supportive character in the Lavelle's family. Supporting character. It was him and his dad. That was his hero. That was his best friend. That, you know, and I understood that the role I've had to take on for that 13 and a half years, there were things he probably would have discussed with his dad. There were things that he probably would have just went through or handled just with his dad. Mm-hmm. That now, his dad not being day to day, it was gonna be me.
Yeah. And
it also caused me to toughen up. It caused me to realize I'm raising a man. Mm-hmm. I'm not raising a child. I'm raising this Black young boy to be a productive Black man. I need to make sure he has all the qualities that a real good woman would appreciate. And I'm backtracking, but when it first happened, my initial thought was, we're now a statistic. Mm-hmm. We were an anomaly because we were a young Black couple. We were married and we had a child, and we only had one child between us. I don't have any other kids. He doesn't have any other kids.
Right.
It was an anomaly, but right. I'm the only baby mama with the drama. So it was. Yeah.
She make up for it. Just look, what she don't have in quantity, she make up for in quality, DeVelle.
Oh my goodness. People still pat me on the back just for because of her. I go to her job and they just all give me hugs.
my assistant always tells him. My assistant always tells him that there's a place for him in heaven. Him in heaven.
Okay.
Of course I don't. But it's cute, girl. So funny. So I think that because I had to take on a different role, and because I had to not so much change who I was, but those other parts of me that probably lie dormant because my husband always did everything. I had to then become, you know, I don't always like saying mother and I had to become mother and father, because no, I could never take his father's place. That's right. Regardless. So, but I had to become a different type of mother.
Yes.
I had to become, and then I knew certain things I had to do because I didn't want, you know, our son to be another statistic of his father Black kid, his dad is in jail, single mom, and then he winds up being a little hoodlum, you know, little roughneck. I didn't want that either. I wanted him to still be able to be the person he was supposed to be and that he was meant to be. So yeah, keeping him in sports, keeping him busy, always being there, never missing any games, always being there for the PTA meetings and things like, always coming up to the school, walking on campus, letting the security know who I was in case anything went down. They knew to look out for that one right there, that little child.
Hello, huh?
And I think that in doing all of that, and understanding when Lavelle Sr. came home that I can now, I can relax. Yeah, he's in college, right? But there are still things that he was gonna need to have a conversation with his dad about, or only his dad could relate to being a father.
Yes.
To being a father, only his dad can relate to being a father. So he was, in college with an infant. His dad can only relate to how he would feel like that, not me. So now it was where I felt like, okay, this is gonna be okay. But as far as our relationship, I wanted it to be a friendship first. Mm-hmm. He came to me. We went through different things. We decided, we'd just be friends. He was gonna stay where he was at. I was gonna stay where I was at, and he didn't pay me any attention. My brother came from Jersey and wanted to see him so bad. And I said, well, you can go see him. I can tell you how to get there. It was like maybe 3 weeks or something. We hadn't seen each other, or a month. And my brother was really adamant about me going. So, okay, fine. So I took him, and it was around Lavelle Sr.'s birthday. And that was...
So you was his birthday present, is what you're trying to tell me?
2008. No, he was still my homeboy. So, and that time, 2008, we've been inseparable ever since.
Yeah. That's why I said you was his birthday. You said it was around his birthday. I said you was his birthday present.
He told me, he didn't know what I was talking about. We were always going to be together. He told him, the Lord told him, and I'm thinking, everybody go to jail. Here we go. The Lord told me we're destined to be together. The Lord ain't told you that. You think the Lord just talked to you? Because I'm going to go to church. I kept Lavelle Jr. in church. We wasn't going to
tell him, Vel, look, he don't only talk to her.
The Lord, I said, if the Lord got a choice to talk to you,
I thought she was the only one that had his number.
Whatever.
I'm just super glad that whatever happened, that whatever it took, if it took the Lord, if whatever it took, because again, you guys are in a position now where you're a family. It's great that your grandchildren, that you even have the conversation. Wow, do we even tell them, like, that they're so used to you being there? That is such a blessing, that all they know is you all as family, no matter what the circumstances are. You guys are a unit, and I have the privilege and the pleasure to know you guys as a unit. I knew you when he was incarcerated, and I know you now as a unit. And I just have to, again, commend you guys, each of you, for being incredibly phenomenal people. You guys, I mean, just the fact that you survived it. And again, I use this term relatively, and you guys are sane. That's a relative term, because I already know, I knew, Juju was little, but anyway, so anywho, just that fact, and I want to give you guys an opportunity, if there's anything. Oh, look at that.
Almost connectivity.
No, you didn't. You never did. That's right. That's right. She was always connecting, huh, Vel? That's right. While they playing, huh? So that's right. Now look at that. Isn't that awesome? Oh, the symbolism. So you weren't even planning that, Vel, and look at you. You just doing it. I'm just excited. I would like to know from each of you, is there anything that you think you experienced that you would like to share with people? And how did you overcome anything, or any advice, like particularly Vel, when you talked about your mom always keeping things positive and things like that, like anything that you want to share, any advice you would give to other parents as to how to make that less of a traumatic experience, or anything that any of you all want to share about the process of having a family, having it torn apart by incarceration, and then coming back. How did you survive? Because I'm about trying to give people information to heal, because sometimes just knowing you're not the only one matters.
Definitely.
And so if there's anything any of you guys want to share, I want to give you guys that opportunity. And I'll start with Junior. We'll go backwards the other way.
For sure. I'll say for the parents, make sure that you're 100% honest. Being honest, like, I think that's one of the biggest things, because I know my mom brought it up when she was saying that, you know, she expected me to be honest and tell the truth, but she wasn't doing that. And even still, it just puts the kid in a weird place when the kid knows both sides and doesn't want to cause division, or, you know, it puts the kid in a weird place. So as long as you hold your own integrity and impart that in the child, I think that's one of the biggest things. Also edifying your kid and letting them know that, yes, this is the situation, yes, this is the circumstances that we're in, but this doesn't define who you are or who you're going to be. You're still capable of achieving every goal that's in front of you, every dream that you have, you can still reach them. Whatever it is that you want to do in life, you can still do that, no matter what the system or the statistics would say.
Right.
I think those are the biggest things. Like, my mom always edified me. Even when things seemed like they weren't going to go right or they were never going to get better, I always felt that they would, because I was just given positivity my whole life.
Yeah.
You know, she always, you know, she prayed over me, she covered me, she made sure that I had the right mindset to handle any situation. And I would say that, yeah, just the openness, the honesty, the integrity, and just the edification are probably the biggest things that you can impart in your child and in yourself as well, because you can't pour from an empty glass. You can't raise up somebody that you want to be successful if you're not, you know, building yourself up with those same qualities. So for mothers, you know, that are, you know, feel that they're doing it on their own, they have to make sure that they're feeding their minds right and not getting caught up in the negativity and what the world is going on and what, you know, what their friends are doing. They got to focus on themselves so that they can build up and raise their collective child.
Such a wise man. Such a wise man. Okay, I'm gonna try to move on. Go ahead, Mrs. Go ahead, Mrs. You first. You next, and then we'll go to Senior.
I think that what's important also is staying true to who you are at your core as a woman, because you wind up trying to be, you know, strong for your child, strong for your man. You still have a job. And in my situation, I had students at that time. I was in the classroom at that time. So I still had to, and I don't want to say put on a front, but I still had to be 100% when I went to work. I had to leave everything I was dealing with that people at my job had no idea for years. And I still had to be 100% at my job. I had to be 100% when I was with, you know, our son and taking him to track and football and baseball. And I still had to be 100% when we were on our visit, you know, and not give him more than he was already dealing with, putting more on Senior's shoulder, you know, or that things he would have to be concerned with once we left the visit. And in all things, it's real difficult because you don't want to hurt that person.
Right.
Trust was a major issue. Trust before he went in was a major issue. So even when he first came home, and that I think is one of the reasons why I was like, you got to do you before you could do us. It was trust. And to trust that this person, even though I've been a part of his life and been there for him, you know, but to still understand that regardless if we're together or not, I need him to know I still got him. Yeah. And, you know, he could depend on me. If he needed anything, he could call me and I would still be able to, and he would reciprocate that.
Sure.
And that I love the person he is. Mm-hmm. You know, who he is now, no, in our 20s, you know, he wasn't that person when he left. In our 20s, you know, who he is now is absolutely someone different, someone part of who he is and who he was, but magnified. Yeah. You know, and the trust, you have to deal with that. Mm-hmm. That's not something you can sweep and say, oh, it'll be all right, it'll get better. No. You know, I have to know that, you know, when I leave work, he's going to handle his business, do what he's supposed to do, and I'll have to be concerned about that. Mm-hmm. I mean, he has that attitude. He's had that attitude, you know, but it took me a minute.
Sure.
To get there.
Sure.
Not that I was, you know, feeling insecure about myself, because I know, you know, it's the whole table. It ain't what I'm bringing to it. It's the whole table, you know, but the fact that, yeah, I am enough.
Yeah.
Because I'm a whole lot. And just me being enough, I'm a whole lot.
Yeah.
And he don't get a check for it.
So okay. Yeah. Yeah. And he need both hands. Yeah. Both hands. You need both hands. Okay. And a little something else. And you know, I want to commend you, Ju, because again, all of the things I said before, but also the fact that you never took Junior's hero from him through your words. One of the things that Junior said about the honesty, there are a lot of parents who tell the children that the father or mother went on vacation or they went here. And those lies, even though you tell them with a pure heart and think you're doing the best, it's really not the best thing because of what you all experienced and what you recognized, which was, I'm going to want you to tell the truth, but yet I'm not telling the truth because I'm lying about something, because children know that vacation doesn't last, even if it's just instinctively, it doesn't last for 10 years, 5, you know what I'm saying? Well, when are they, or college? Oh, they went off to college. Okay, well, how long are they going to be in college? Because, you know, do they graduate? Why can't I see them in college? So those kinds of, so I applaud you for finding that apparently delicate balance between truthful information and being able, again, not to destroy his image of his hero in his head and in his heart, because the power of the tongue is vicious. And it's something that oftentimes, not even being incarcerated, parents do to their children. They destroy that relationship between the other parents because they're not together. So I just have to, like, if I had on a hat, I would take it off. I'll flip my hair up. There you go. How about that? That's for you, Ju. Now, Senior, I want to give you an opportunity. Is there any advice that you would give to anybody about the whole process in terms of the incarceration, you know, trying to maintain a relationship, trying to maintain being the hero to your son, and then also, how do you successfully re-enter like you did?
First and foremost, you can't let your situation dictate who you become, because there are so many different negative parts of it that can, you know, really tear you apart. It can make you a really ugly person. So you can't let the situation dictate who you become. You know, at heart, you know we love our family, you know, and we got to continue to show that no matter what. But to come out of that situation and, you know, be successful at it, you got to have a strong support system. And I had that. You know, no matter what stage of a relationship I was in, you know, with Socorro, she was always there to support me no matter what. I know it was tough because it was tough on me. So I know it was definitely tough on her. You know, our son, yeah, that get me all the time. Our son, I know it was tough on him. But you know, he stood tall through this situation.
Well, not quite so tall, but tall nonetheless, right? That's my guy.
You don't stop it.
With the short jokes, I know, because look, he taller than me, I'm sure. So, you know, but anyhow,
all of that is important. So, you know, your mental being is important. Your spiritual being. I mean, you got to be grounded. And a lot of times people go in there, they want to just get buff and, you know, they're not, you know, really enhancing their minds. And, you know, man, I read. Matter of fact, I was helping other people, you know, get their GEDs. You know, I became like a tutor. So
that doesn't surprise me.
But what a lot of people didn't know is that I actually got my GED there.
Okay.
You know, because I've been lying to myself for years, lying to other people too. But I actually got my GED while I was there, even though I was always ahead of my classes in school. I was always ahead of everybody. I was, you know, the top 3%, no matter what school I was at. But that didn't stop me from, you know, doing what I did anyway.
Well, and the thing of it is that you clearly passed that gene on to your son, who's always been a top student. Whenever we had to check report cards and things, he was always in the top, you know. And, you know, to survive having to watch him walk out of the prison, I'm sure that was heartbreaking every time. And to survive all of that, and for you all to do the really, really hard work of forgiveness, excuse me, for whatever part you played, whatever you did wrong, whatever you did right, whatever absence, for you guys to do the hard work of forgiveness for each other and be better, a stronger family than you were before you went in at this time. For all of you, I'm impressed. I love you guys. Excuse me.
I'm gonna have to give you some more water.
Okay, I need but it's okay. We're at the end. I love you guys. I so appreciate you guys.
Can I throw something in really quick?
Please.
It just kind of came to me, but something that I want to definitely add on is, of course, depending on the situation that the parents have, or what the parent is getting incarcerated for, as long as it's nothing domestic or something like that, but encourage a relationship with the kid. I know it can be tough, but I think that played a major role in my father's reentry into our lives. The fact that my mom made sure that we were visiting and we still had a relationship. Even if, you know, I'm playing outside with my friends, calling me like, oh, your dad's on the phone, you know, he's still making sure that I still got on the phone, even though what I had going on outside was more fun at the time. I will say definitely encourage a relationship between the kid and their absent parent, no matter what the case.
And that's something, Junior, that I would say I would encourage parents of separated parents. Absolutely. Of any for whatever the reason.
Definitely.
Doesn't matter, because guess what? That child is still the product of both parents. And your father, you know, your mama used to say, oh my God, he looked like you. And she would say, not till you see your daddy. You say that, and she would go, yeah, till you see your daddy. And sure enough, she was right. She was absolutely right. But every time I would say it, she had the same response. Till you see your daddy. And it's so true. It's so true. Like, you're such a beautiful patchwork of them both. And now, and you know, through the years getting to know your dad, you know, the way I knew your mom, and seeing the beautiful person that he is, it really clears up and it makes it crystal clear for me why I knew what I was looking at when you were 8 years old, because it's in you. They're phenomenal. They produce phenomenal. And now you're producing, I don't even know what to call that, extra phenomenal, because child, them two of yours, honey, especially that
I don't
little
even know
one.
what words to describe them.
OMG. Oh my gosh. Like, they're just incredible. They're just even more of the beauty and wonderfulness that you all are. And so you're an example of, in a very unfortunate situation of lemons, you guys made the best lemonade. You guys made the best lemonade, and I'm proud of all of you. And I'm so honored that you would take the time to share with me and to share with our audience on Free to Heal, because you're free now to heal. You know, that's why I called it that, because people often hold on to things so tight. They don't even want to acknowledge that they need to heal or that there was an issue, and they want to stay stuck in their position or their place because it's familiar to them. And you guys, you know, when Drew, you talked about all of the difficult conversations, things you probably didn't even want to admit to yourself, you know, that you had to say verbally and out loud and admit to your husband and apologize to your son. Those things take a huge person to do those things. And I just want to say that I really admire all of you individually and collectively, and I'm thankful. Yes, sir. I love you guys.
One more thing.
Yes.
You know, we talked about, you know, honesty, and that is such a key component in the whole process, because when there's a lack of honesty, then you reduce the options.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
When you're honest, then that means it's like information. You know, without having all the information, you can't make, you know, the best decisions, but you can only make them your decisions according to the information that you're given. But when there's total honesty, then it's the same way. That's when you can make, you know, decisions that, you know, that engulfs everything, because now you're dealing with the full picture. So yeah, you know, everybody needs to learn how to be more honest with each other, because that will carry you a long way. Once you know that everything, you know, then you can make better decisions.
And I'm gonna like double stamp that, because what I like to say, Vel, is if you're lying to me, you got me fighting a fire in the bedroom and it's in the kitchen. And really I'm going all out with the extinguisher. I'm on it. You know what I'm saying? But the problems get worse because the fire's not even in this room. Yeah. Right? I'm not even dealing with what is real. And as painful as things can be, the truth is always easier to process than a falsehood. And no matter, and so let's be clear. I mean, we can all agree, I'm sure, that having an incarcerated family member or being an incarcerated person having a family is not an easy thing to, it's not the thing. Like, you're not going to ever walk up to somebody, Vel, and say, hi, my name is Lavelle and I was incarcerated for 13 and a half. That's just not, Junior's not going to say, hi, my name is Lavelle Jr. and my dad was incarcerated when I was a kid. It's just not even something that you do. But I'm so glad that you guys don't carry any shame. Let me tell you something. It affects people all over the world, which is, again, why for me, it was very important to be able to record these conversations. You may see in the video that the session that we did on Thursday, when it gets posted, that there was a guy who was actually incarcerated. He was in my group while he was incarcerated. And he's been home now and he's come. And it's like, just know that there are things that you have to share these things with each other There are people who can't come to my groups. They'll never be able to come to the group. They may live back east somewhere, or they may live in the South, or they may live out of the country, because I'm convinced that the scars of incarceration aren't limited to just the United States, right? So when you start removing family members, no matter how you do it, you're removing an element. And because Vel was always the man, he's been a man as long as you've known him, Jew. That's why he did everything. That's why he was his son's hero, because he was doing it right. No matter what the other part was, when it came to his family, he was doing it correctly. And you guys viewed him worthy of your adoration and your love because of what you were doing right, Vel. And so when you remove that, that has got to be a total shock to the system. And another thing, Jew, I never knew, I don't know when I found out that Big Vel was gone. So when you talk about you being able to function and nobody really knew for years what you were going through, let me tell you something. You did an extraordinary job, because if he went when Junior was 7, I met you when he was 8. So you were headlong into the beginning of it. And all of that time, and listen, when you came with your little bubbly personality and all your insanity and craziness, because it ain't but a few kind of people in the world, and we know which ones they are, them that love you, them that want to do you, and them that want to be you, and all them kinds of things, right? And you was teaching me, right? I mean, all of that, you did that in the midst of your pain. Because I know your man was gone, Jew. Like when I look at how you function and how you rolled, and then you was having to grow up and do it all, oh my God. Like, can I just, okay, lift the hair again to my girl, because, because see, it was incredible. And so, again, I just have to thank you guys for taking the time. Junior, you know I love you better than everybody else.
Well, no, it's a lady in that room with him that may beg to differ.
I know she do, but that's okay. But me and her come to an understanding. We already know. Listen, she loves me and I love her. And long as she loving him like that, she gonna always be all right with me. And that's just the way it is. I mean, we all got us an understanding, and I love her passionately. Mrs. Wallace, I love you. If you're around and you can hear me, know that I love you.
Love you too.
And I appreciate you because my favorite has that smile on his face, and I know he couldn't if you weren't what you're supposed to be. So I'm just so grateful for all of you guys, and please kiss those beautiful babies, and I'll talk to you guys soon, okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for this. Thank you. Talk to you guys soon.
All right.
All right.